Anime finished this year number 34, Heavenly Delusion, 5 out of 10. I watched this one all the way through, but it was one I was going back and forth in my feelings on the whole time. The series is such a mixed bag that I might not be able to fit all my feelings about this into this quickie format. So we have two storylines here, and I don't think I'm the only one that came away more interested in one than the other. I've seen people fall on both sides of that. To me, the school storyline was more intriguing as the one that seemed like it had the most mysteries alongside the most looming dread. It was the one where something was clearly more off. While the other portion of the series could be fun at times and the two leads were likable, it was a somewhat aimless adventure as well. It's not that I disliked that portion, but it held my attention less. Crafting a story with two entirely disconnected storylines can be a risk, and I don't think they pulled the balance off here. If that were the only issue I had, I likely would have rated this series more highly, but we do need to talk about the part that is controversial. I'm going to get more spoilery than I usually do, but it needs to be said since I think people should be warned about these topics. Okay, so from the start, Heavenly Delusion had a bit of an issue with how it handled sexual violence, the threat of it, and sexuality. Let's just say it's an easy subject to fumble. There were threats towards two characters in the first episode, but they managed to brush it off because they could handle themselves. Then one of the leads was shown looking at themselves in a mirror and going to kiss their reflection before they're interrupted. This is the character we later find out is a boy who has had his mind placed in his older sister's body. Looking back once you know that, it gives incestuous implications. Then, in the last episode of the series, this same character is raped by someone who was once a trusted mentor figure. It's implied his sister was back in the day as well, and this is an extension of that. The scene is brutal, but fittingly horrific and fairly respectful, and in isolation, I could ignore the single shot that felt a little leery. However, I have to take it in context with the rest of the series. In context, we're given only one episode to recover from this moment, in which this character doesn't get as much focus as you would hope after the implication of being raped for a full day and a half. His traveling companion confesses their feelings about still loving them even if the mind-body situation is unusual, despite knowing what has happened the last few days, and this is treated like a happy moment. Both drive off into the sunset, smiling and ready for their next adventure. It's rushed and sloppy, is what I'm saying. The show needed more time to deal with the aftermath, plain and simple. You can argue this character is just putting on a brave face, but I don't personally buy that interpretation. From what I've heard from the manga readers, it's not much better there, though. Also, in context, I have a hard time believing the series understood the gravity of this subject when, in an episode prior to the scene, this same character getting repeatedly groped was played for laughs.